Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an angle to the race that might be a path to finding the winner. Well, it's one of the biggest days of Hong Kong racing on Sunday, FWD Champions Day, and if you're keen to get stuck into the three Group 1 races, you'll find all the information you could possibly want all over the Hong Kong Jockey Club website. Interviews, track work videos, track work interviews, if you like. Everything you could possibly need is there. And I'm not going to touch those races in this segment. I'm going to look at the undercard, but certainly everything you want to appreciate the Group 1s on Sunday is on the Hong Kong Jockey Club website. The first race I'm going to look at is race 4, and the winning factor is class changes. So this is a Class 2 over 1400 metres, plenty of quality horses here, but I think we can narrow the best chances in the race down to just a few. Young Champion, he's racing very well. Devano was back in winning form last start in Class 1, and Invincible Shield has strung together 2 wins in Class 3 in very good style lately. Now I do feel that the map, which we'll get to later, is a challenge for Young Champion. So I'm going to concentrate on the 2 other horses here, Devano and Invincible Shield. And as luck would have it, they come from the same stable. So let's have a look at what they've been up to. Firstly, race 532 in gate 4 with green and orange colours. Invincible Shield doesn't actually begin all that well here for Ryan Moore. And in the context of this race shape, that should have been a disadvantage, and possibly a disadvantage that stopped him winning. However, the first section, it's quite slow. The pace picks up mid-race and then again in the straight, giving the leaders an advantage. However, despite all that, Invincible Shield really knuckles down with a strong finishing sprint and comes away to win quite brilliantly. So that was about a month ago. He's now a winner up in class into Class 2. Now Devano, he's more recent, 2 weeks ago, and he was winning in Class 1 over 1400 metres. This is race 588 and he's in gate 3, white colours. Devano begins well and soon takes a position tracking the leaders. Now you see on the heat map there's a lack of pace in the first half of this race, followed by a big increase in tempo mid-race as the leaders take each other on. And Angus Chung has Devano in the perfect stalking position to take advantage. In the straight, as they weaken, he gets to the front under a light handicap, and Devano never really looks like being run down. And obviously Devano now drops down from Class 1 to Class 2, which certainly some people might consider an easier assignment. We'll get to that in a moment or two. But let's take a look firstly at the map for Sunday's race. And with a senior rider back aboard, I think we will see Happy Healthy back to his regular role as a leader. And perhaps he's the only leader in the race here. Maybe Soleil Fighter will look to follow him forward, though he is dropping back in distance. So whether he is sharp enough to challenge for the lead would be a question. But there doesn't look a lot of pressure on the front of this race, and that's why I think there are challenges for Young Champion, who's likely to get back from a slightly sticky draw. The map, though, offers a good opportunity for both Devano, who we've seen race very handy to the speed, and Invincible Shield, who did miss the start in the replay that we saw, but he was a leader in Australia at 1200 metres, and he now moves up to 1400 metres for the first time. So I suspect he might still be looking for cover, but he shouldn't be as far away as he was last time. So these 2 horses offer us an interesting contrast because they're from the same stable. One is dropping in class, one is rising in class. And class changes are something we talk about quite a lot on this show. Now, regular viewers will know that I bring this up often, usually in the context of preferring the horse rising in class. And I guess that's counterintuitive, but this is the Hong Kong system, and the horse going up in grade has the best of things. As you see, whether we're looking at a 5-season or 10-season window here, the strike rates are similar, and the outcome in terms of betting value is also clear in each case. Horses dropping in class not only win less often, but are moreover terrible bets, falling a long way short of market expectations. Although, as you can see, the figure on the right-hand side here indicates that over time, the market is slowly adjusting to this discrepancy. But both of these horses are trained by Francis Loy, so how are his figures in each case? And on this table, you can see the result in terms of win rates looks quite similar, although in both cases elevated. Francis is ahead of the overage trainer in both areas. But he does also manage to stay ahead of market expectations with class droppers, which makes him a bit of a rarity. But the tip from me in race 4, Invincible Shield. His winning factor, the class change. So, as you can see from the figures there, Francis Loy, he's better than most with horses dropping in class, but he is still a superior performer with horses rising in class. Risers in class also do better overall, so I'm siding with the stablemate that is in that situation, Invincible Shield. So the second race we're looking at is race 10, and our winning factor here is the loser up in class. A decent enough class 3 this, over 1400 metres, and there will be fans of horses at the top of the weights like Charming Legend, Silvery Breeze, who returns from a break. Also, Everyone's Star has some upside after only a few starts. Lost Child's last run was a return to form, but I think most discussions will centre around Endeared from the John Size Yard and Francis Loy trained Harold Wynn. And they're the runners that I want to focus on. It offers us another opportunity to examine this class change idea, and let's take a look at Harold Wynn's latest, his third placing in a row in Class 4. This is race 587, barrier 8, aqua and mauve colours, red blinkers, and he jumps well. Jerry Chow is pushing forward here, briefly the leader in fact, before another runner pushes through under him, and then another, and then another. Chow drops back, hoping to drop in closer to the rail, but he's stuck wide, and the heat map shows the second section is run very strongly, almost 4 lengths faster than average in fact, which makes that wide run disadvantage even greater. In the straight, well, he's brave, Harold Wynn, but in the end gets run down late by a horse who has had a softer trip. Now, 4 races later, Endeared, a horse who recently won in Class 3, also didn't have things go his way, but performed well. This is race 591. He's in gate 10, yellow and red colours. Endeared begins okay, but as is usual with him, he doesn't show a lot of pace. He drifts back to get closer to the rail and does achieve that aim. Now, the first half here is genuine under the leadership of Beauty Glory, but then he really kicks the tempo up from the 800 metres to the 400 metres, and the pace puts pressure on the other leaders chasing him, and certainly does help the horses back in the field to get into the finish. Endeared is one of them, but third is the best that he can do, with a couple of Sunday's other rivals just behind him. So we've seen different levels of early speed from our 2 main contenders here in those replays. So let's take a look at the map in general. There looks sound pace on Sunday again, Beauty Glory. He was the leader in the replay we just saw, and he's there again. Everyone's Star does have some pace, both of those horses drawn low. Zach Purton is on 80 light years, who will be showing speed out wide. And I think with blinkers going on that Igor Stravinsky will bring a very positive approach to his second start in Hong Kong. After a succession of draws that kept him off the track, Harold Wynn this time gets a setup that should allow Andrea Azzeni to drop him in, trailing the leaders with a softer, handy run this time. Meanwhile, Craig Williams on Endeared, well, we saw he doesn't have much pace. That's been typical of this horse, and I think that Williams is going to have to get back and drift out of the race, hoping that there'll be enough pace to run on again. So in the first segment, I was looking at horses going up in class or down in class, and a lot of the horses that we look at on this show going up in class successfully are winners up in class. But I know plenty of punters who don't like the idea of a horse like Harold Wynn. He's run 3 defeats in a row in Class 4 and now goes up in class without winning. So how do those horses fare? And you can see there is something to what they are thinking, those punters that don't like this idea. The win rate for class risers who lost last time is about half what it is for winners rising in class. But once again, on the right-hand side, you can see they are still clearly ahead of market expectation. So their value, and that's what we are looking for when we're having a bet. So the tip from me in race 10, Harold Wynn. His winning factor, the loser up in class. Yes, I know plenty of people don't like the idea that a horse goes up in grade without winning, but the stats show that they are still going to perform, and Harold Wynn gets a great map on Sunday to enable him to do that. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. Enjoy those top class horses, including the world's best sprinter, Ka Ying Rising. We'll see you next time.